called Mueller's bluff. Impeach me, or let's go to the Supreme Court and debate whether you can subpoena me to testify, because I'm not testifying and you can't impeach me. And Trump is going to win on both of those. Now, what I see next, and it's very frustrating because people are saying, you know, this double standard of justice. The Clintons are never going to face any justice. It's going to be, we're going to know all these crimes were committed and they're going to get swept under the rug. When I wrote Killing the Deep State, I said there were 3 phases. If you read it, I encourage people really to read it. The second phase is the Trump counterattack. And for the next 2 or 3 years, what we're going to see, I believe, is Donald Trump systematically, and I think it'll take a new special prosecutor. So I don't think you can have the Justice Department investigate itself. But I think you're going to see Donald Trump systematically bring these deep state criminals to justice. And I'd say phase 3 ends close to the end of the first term with military tribunals and Donald Trump bringing up issues of treason, with the defendants being as high as Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton.
All right, Dr. Jerry Corsi is with me now, and I just want to say this before we bring Dr. Corsi in. I have decided in the 3rd hour I'm going to open up the phone lines. As of right now, it's guest-free. So in the 3rd hour, we may hear from Alex Jones, but I am going to open up the phone lines. We may even dip into that in the 2nd hour. Specifically, though, what should we do about the smartphones? What should we do as we are going down the... I kind of like the analogy I said actually last night. We're diving deeper and deeper and deeper into this technology, but are we going to get so deep that we can no longer come back up to the surface? Is it no longer an option? Or do we pause now and wonder, maybe we should go back up to the surface for a minute and reconsider what we've seen so far? So I'm going to open up the phone lines maybe later in this hour, but definitely in the 3rd hour for that. But in the meantime, Dr. Jerry Corsi joins me now. Now, Dr. Corsi, there's 2 developments happening right now domestically that I'd kind of like to get in with with you here. You've got the Mueller prosecutors saying that Manafort should be put in jail for tampering with witnesses. It's my view that's what they're doing. You've got them using this Papadopoulos situation as a, shall we say, catalyst to get the spying going on the Trump campaign, which we're now learning may have even dated back to as early as April 2015, certainly July 2015. What do you think about the Papadopoulos story, where it looks like that was real witness tampering by the deep state? But then you've got kind of on another wing here that's not going away but not getting the press attention, the Imran Awan and the Awan brothers investigation, where they're hiding money, they're trying to flee the country. Wasserman Schultz freaks out about the server, threatens the police, now threatening officials, apparently screaming at them, says the Daily Caller. So just in this short segment, Dr. Corsi, what do you think we need to get into here in the next half hour?
Well, I mean, I think you're first of all right. We just got 500 new pages from the Senate of the Swarzik Page text messages, and they made clear that Papadopoulos was an agent of the federal government who wore a wire. So he was an agent going back to December 2015, which is way before James Comey argued that we started the counterintelligence investigation. Comey said that was in July 2016. And it appears that we had our FBI agent Papadopoulos go to London to talk to more CIA agents, and there's 2 figures, Stephen Halper, and the Australian, this guy Dowdney. And so we had a whole bunch of our spies talking to our CIA agents in order to create the falsified story that Trump was colluding with Russia. It appears to have been a entrapment scheme going back to December 2015, and that's pretty startling. That's pretty amazing, actually. And what I find in the other part of this, I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. Why don't you hit ignore on that, and I'll just take over for a second here. Yeah, and it's amazing too, because again, when you look at the Papadopoulos situation, you mentioned the, I think it was it Downer. I always forget his name for some reason too. And you look at how Papadopoulos was kind of thrown around and tossed around there to get the reason to spy. But then you get the newly redacted 500 texts that show that they were sending spies in. They admit it in these texts as soon as 2015. And we find out that Stephen Halpert, who was Comey's spy, Comey's link, was reintroduced on the payroll as early as July 2015, of course, a month after Trump announced. So all the dots are starting to connect here, Dr. Corsi.
And what it's connecting into is a entrapment scheme of spies and CIA agents that were designed even before Donald Trump was in the primaries to penetrate his campaign and pollute it with his Russian collusion narrative. I mean, this is clearly an entrapment scheme, and I'm maintaining a coup d'etat scheme. And then with the Iwan brothers, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I think, is really in it very, very deep, and it needs to be more thoroughly investigated.
Yeah, I'm wondering if she's not freaking out because she knew about that money laundering. We're going to be right back with Dr. Corsi. You know, I saw a story on the Drudge Report today that said 70% of Americans polled are burnt out on news, and that most of them actually were conservative or Republican leaning. I can relate to that. But I think about it a little deeper, and I think I realize what the frustration here is, Dr. Corsi. You know, we know what happened with the Obama administration spying on Trump. We know what happened with Hillary Clinton rigging the primaries against Bernie Sanders. We know what happened with the illegal emails, the illegal servers, Wasserman Schultz involvement in that, and then Comey writing Clinton off for all the illegal behavior. We know about Huma Abedin having the classified information on an illegal server. And it's like, here we are, we know all this, we know about Mueller. Now more people are even calling Mueller out for the botched 9/11 investigation where his running of the FBI could be to blame for that. But we sit here, Dr. Corsi, seemingly banging our heads against the wall with the same facts and the same information, hoping that the walls of deceit, that the walls of misjustice, that the walls of treason get broken down, and yet we're barely even seeing cracks yet. We're still waiting for the IG report to come out. But really, doesn't this all come down to President Trump, Dr. Corsi? Doesn't this all come down to when the president decides that he's going to be the president and stop this madness?
Well, I think I want you to see what I see, and that is that President Trump has already started to end Mueller. That's why I say he's basically called Mueller's bluff. Impeach me, or let's go to the Supreme Court and debate whether you can subpoena me to testify, because I'm not testifying and you can't impeach me. And Trump is going to win on both of those. Now, what I see next, and it's very frustrating because people are saying, you know, this double standard of justice. The Clintons are never going to face any justice. It's going to be, we're going to know all these crimes were committed and they're going to get swept under the rug. When I wrote Killing the Deep State, I said there were 3 phases. If you read it, I encourage people really to read it. The second phase is the Trump counterattack. And for the next 2 or 3 years, what we're going to see, I believe, is Donald Trump systematically, and I think it'll take a new special prosecutor. So I don't think you can have the Justice Department investigate itself. But I think you're going to see Donald Trump systematically bring these deep state criminals to justice. And I'd say phase 3 ends close to the end of the first term with military tribunals and Donald Trump bringing up issues of treason, with the defendants being as high as Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Now, I've known Donald Trump a long time, and I can see him confidently playing this game out. So what I'm looking at is that right now we feel frustrated, but over the next couple of years with what I think is coming, we're going to feel that justice is finally being restored to the United States, and the support that Donald Trump has will double or triple. I mean, Donald Trump is going to be, I think, regarded as one of the most successful presidents in American history, and he's well on his way to doing that after the first 500 days. Just be patient, because watch and see. Look at the signs. we are right now in the end game of the first phase of this chess match, which is the attempt to impeach Donald Trump, and it's failed. Now Donald Trump is going to systematically shut down Mueller's operation, and I see it coming. I see the pieces coming into place to make that happen.
So you really think that he's got this all planned out to be done in his first 4 years?
I think a lot of it, yes, I do. I think that the first 4 years are going to have to be devoted to cleaning up the deep state. I mean, there's significant accomplishments. Donald Trump's going to try to make the tax cuts permanent for individuals. He's going to make sure we get a deal with North Korea and Iran.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my thing, though, just to cut you off before you get going down that road, is that stuff he reassures and cements for at least 4 more years after winning again in 2020, which I fully expect him to win again in 2020. I don't think it'll even be much of a race. So I feel like that kind of stuff he can continue to go down with in the political landscape is going to be so different. Then I'm not even going to try to predict what could be happening or what will happen. But my concern is that even though I expect him to win in 2020, if he doesn't get it done in 4 years, he understands that he has no guarantee of another 4 years, so he has to get it done in 4 years. He has to put Obama testifying on Spygate under oath within his first 4 years, because there's no guarantee he has another 4.
Well, I think the first 4 years are going to be devoted to the counterattack, and then the end game of the counterattack, which is the military tribunals and treason charges. The bureaucracy will have to be massively cleaned up. And I'd fire 95% of the people. Maybe that's not even enough. I'd close down different bureaus.
I'd shut down the CIA. I'd shut down the CIA and the FBI immediately.
Well, I'd have term limits on serving in the bureaucracy, as well as term limits in serving in Congress. But I want to prefigure what I see the next term for Donald Trump can be after 2020. What I see is that he's going to tackle then even bigger questions, like getting rid of the Federal Reserve, getting rid of the U.S. debt, handling the entitlement problems that we have of out-of-control entitlement spending, which is taking 60–70% of our budget these days and is no control in sight in the future. Those are the problems Donald Trump, I think, will have to tackle in the second administration. And I really see it. I mean, I want everybody to kind of understand that, we should be hopeful right now, because having survived the attempt to impeach Donald Trump, and right now, Mueller is costing the Democrats votes in the midterms, because the
Democrats are screwed. Yeah, no, the Democrats are in big trouble.
They have only a negative hate Trump policy. You can't win elections on a negative platform. That or Me Too or Bernie Sanders, and I thought that
which have both backfired on them for the total frauds that they are. But I want to just ask you one more question, actually, because I forgot to bring this up. Have you seen Michael Hayden's new book by any chance?
I have not seen it yet. No, I know it's out, but there's several of them I have not caught up on. That's one of them.
I'd like to talk to you about that because it's interesting. Sure. I'd rather wait for you to actually get some intel on it before we talk about it. But I'll just give you kind of the groundwork with my understanding. I didn't read all of it, but I've read excerpts, I've read reviews of it, and other people that read it and covering it. I was surprised. Apparently, Michael Hayden writes this book and essentially blames Trump for the collapse of the intelligence agency, and it's kind of an anti-Trump book. But we were all of this belief, and it was our understanding that it was Michael Hayden that went to Trump originally when he found out about the spying, to tell Trump about that so that he could respond, in whatever manner he deemed. So this book being anti-Trump was kind of a shock to me. I know that you weren't aware of this, but I mean.
Well, what I'm aware of is that this is part of what Brennan is doing. The intelligence agencies have caught on that Donald Trump is going to massively reduce the intelligence agencies. All of the spying that's being done on the U.S. citizens, including with the Facebook and all the other social media spying on us and then censoring conservatives and libertarians. Donald Trump's going to pull all this in. Facebook and the others will be regulated through the Federal Trade Commission, and we're going to have the National Security Agency and others, I think even Julian Assange will be allowed to come back to the country once Donald Trump focuses on the issue without indictment. And we're going to begin to understand that everything we've been doing has been recorded by the NSA, all of our emails, all of our phone calls, every click we make on the internet, comfortably taken up by Google and the others, that the internet itself was created by the CIA, and the real internet's controlled by the godfathers, the Larry Ellisons,
which Obama even admitted in a slip of the tongue. I don't even think he realized he admitted that. Dr. Corsi, thank you so much. At Jerome Corsi on Twitter. Again, Michael Hayden's book to me just proves to you again it's the deep state, which Jerry has the book Killing the Deep State. Hayden, another member of the deep state that hates Trump. We'll be right back.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are